Hi there, this is Feria. Really appreciate you are taking time to be here and hear this. Obviously, I'm going to analyze disciplinary investigation meetings. Not my own on Wednesday, because it is expected to be treated as confidential. But I thought of it as a good motivator to address these sort of processes in general. Something that can affect really anybody, anywhere, in any position, even though under different definitions, depending on the person and the organization being investigated. Um, at corporate level, they are organized or at least conducted by HR, which is short for human resources. HR is not independent. All its personnel are employees of the same company as you. Therefore, in case an employer or an influential fraction within the company should instruct them to get a predetermined result, HR will follow the instructions. Like for example, turning an investigation meeting into an interrogation, uh, which is uh, difficult to miss, at least for a person with almost 6 years of experience, all experiencing all sort of processes like myself. But for a person new to this, it might be less obvious. So what I'm saying here, when you are in a meeting, don't assume that HR is going to genuinely investigate a concern, or in contrary, they are out there to hunt you down, because it can be this or can be that. But just observe, and based on what you see and what is happening, decide for yourself. But don't assume anything, because uh, there are some really genuine investigations conducted by them sometimes. So I will add some links in regard to this information, and also the one which are following. I will add them in the comment sections. If you just click on the comments, and then you will see all the links, and you can look for yourself or search more. Another player is company's handbook. These handbooks practically outline, among others, companies' policies and procedures under various circumstances. It is really important to remember that uh, depending on a company's policy, and how the mentality, actually, rather than policy, the company's mentality, these handbooks can be drafted um, very blurred, uh, that they can be interpreted very differently, and therefore it's very important to understand exactly what is meant by every single word. Um, and that's something you have to ask HR to clarify it, so that you know what to expect, and that they know that you know. Um, there is something very important. There are countries where laws are very transparent, and those countries where the laws are not transparent. Is the same case for the companies. Um, in the countries where the laws are not transparent, and they are so interpretable, actually the gray zones are dictatorship countries usually, because they do not want anything to be clear, so that they can handle it the way they want it. Um, anyways, that's the difference between freedom and not freedom, of course, one of them. So if you're invited to a meeting, always ask the people at the meeting, especially the HR representative, to specify in details with reference to one of your cases what that exactly means. You know, if that irritates anybody and uh, they are reluctant to respond to you or they try to cut it short, that would be one of the clear signs that um, something is not right. So raise the first flag. Red one. Next deep red flag is the number and diversity of the allegations. The number of allegations for a similar meeting, in my experience, is usually around two subjects max, to allow covering them correctly within 1 to 2 hours. So if you're presented with a long list filled with all possible allegations pointing at all sections of the company's handbook, put your armor on. That's your best bet. Also, there are also some other details which might vary depending on the company and country. For example, if the meeting does not include a person to take notes and it is done by the same participants who are supposed to actually concentrate on questions, responses, and analyze them, it is definitely a dark orange alarm. They might be trying to limit the number of people with knowledge of what happened during the meeting, or the result, the outcome has been already decided, and they don't see reason to invite anybody else. If you're allowed to take a colleague to the meeting as witness, I would totally advise against it for 2 reasons. If the meeting is genuine, the outcome will be genuine and it will be fair anyways, witness or not. If it is not, the presence of the colleague not only does not help, but can subject them to retaliation by the employer later. And not only that, they might also just deny anything, because if it's not in their interest to admit certain things that might have happened during the meeting. So you see, there is really doesn't make any sense to do that. So there is also another alternative I can think of. This seems to be plausible, is to ask a colleague at management level, somebody with whom you have had no altercations, no connections, to be the witness, because they know all procedures, have conducted a few themselves already, and can hardly be targeted. So now let's check our cards. I mean, we as employees. There are 2 elements which are absolutely super important. Both have the same level of importance. So I will start with one of them. Once you sniff something wrong, document every single event in relation to it and the people who are causing that. And if it keeps repeating few times, report it in an email or anyhow in a written notification to your superior. No matter who is pulling the threads, if it is documented and backed up by any evidence like bruises, well, hopefully never. Well, anyways, internal bruises cannot be seen anyway. So witness, screenshots, and you're good. The other most important thing is to be honest. Do your work the best way you can, because in that way you have respect for yourself, thinking that you're capable about your capability and that you're doing it well, and also you're conscious that you are not in the office or at work, wherever you are, just doing something to pass the time, but you really use it in a productive way. And that creates a sort of self-respect for oneself. And if you don't like your job, instead of taking, just not being productive, just find a different job and leave that one. But don't put the pressure on your soul. So that's important. So now about that. A job well done is one of your best arguments. Um, if you if you have you made a mistake, that can definitely happen. So don't lie about it. Don't try to hide yourself behind somebody else or point finger at somebody else about that. If you know it's your fault and it's your mistake, apologize. Uh, an apology for the right reason is one of the most honorable things you can ever do, believe me, and your soul will really be very thankful to you as well. Now, this is important. To be honest doesn't mean only to offer honesty. It is also about expecting honesty in return. So do not barge if you are right, fair, and truthful, even under pressure, especially under pressure. Um, this may cost you in some circumstances, but it is also the secret of an unimaginable superpower. I know what I'm talking about it, really. That's really super important. Um, so, about the being truthful. An example is what has happened to me in all the meetings. When I was in a meeting, I rarely took notes. Very rarely, maybe some 4 times, or really very rarely, or very small notes. And then when I would receive the minutes, I could edit them very easily. Because everything I had said, I knew exactly what I have said and what I had done, because they were always the same. So it was nothing that I had to remember. Oh my God, did I say red instead of white? Because I know it was green, so I had always said green. Then, of course, it would be everything totally true and totally correct. And everybody was surprised at how I remembered the whole conversation without taking notes. But that was the secret to it. So, and about notes, now that we are here, always ask for notes of the meeting, and ask for these notes before you accept the outcome, or reject it, or decide to appeal. Because when you get the notes, then you can edit it with your own recalling of the events, and in case necessary, you can make an argument out of it. And this is very important. So, what is important? Don't look down or up at anybody, except for the right reasons. In this way, you will never put yourself down, and you will never be super arrogant not to consider anybody else except yourself. So this is absolutely quite important. That's why always respectful, always nice. Of course, expect it in return. Now, something happened on Wednesday. A few hours after a meeting ended, I went for grocery shopping, and of course there were unusual a ganger's activity than other shopping days. Among them, there was this white van, no marks. It continued to sound horns with a lot of enthusiasm until I looked at it. two guys, not locals, turned their heads towards me. So if you guys are listening to this and consider the way I described you is not enough, you can post a more accurate description on the page. You are totally welcome to do that, but please do not mention anything to advertise your harassment services, because in that case I won't be able to let it stay there for long. But exclude anything advertising your harassment services, please. So thank you guys again for your patience, and have a lovely weekend. It's such a beautiful day outside. Bye.